What I would like you to do is access activity 3-8 that we were working on yesterday in class and go down to number 8. That's where we left off. And follow along as I finish these exercises. So the first thing I want you to do is draw a vertical line. And remember, this represents long run aggregate supply. And then we're going to draw short run aggregate supply, which is upward sloping. And then we're going to also draw aggregate demand, which is downward sloping. Okay, so if the government increases spending, that's going to affect aggregate demand. So aggregate demand is going to shift to the right. Okay, and over here I'm going to type in a text box as I explain what's going on here. So AD increases due to the increase in government spending. Okay, so I'm going to add here the price level and then real GDP on the horizontal axis. So you know, here's where we started out. PL. If AD shifts, the price level is going to increase to PL1. Okay, so we've started here and we're over here. Okay, so back to our text box over here. When the price level increases, we know that real wages will decrease due to inflation. So eventually, workers will negotiate for higher nominal wages, and SRAS will shift to the left. Okay, so I'm going to show that on my graph here. We're going to shift SRAS to the left here, SRAS1, and we get back to long run aggregate supply, however, at a higher price level. We're going to move down to the next one now. And again, I'm going to start with drawing long run aggregate supply. Okay, and add AD is downward sloping, and short run aggregate supply is upward sloping. So OPEC is going to cut oil production by 30% and the world price of oil rises. So when that happens, input costs are more expensive. So SRAS is going to shift to the left. So we started here. Okay, we've moved over here. And then again, I'm going to insert a text box here to explain what's happening here. So the increase in energy prices decreases SRAS. So that is going to cause an increase in unemployment at Y1. So here's where we were. you can see now that Y1 has moved away from where we were originally. Okay, so production has fallen, so there's an increase in unemployment. Okay, so what's going to happen is nominal wages will fall so that the SRAS curve will shift to the right in the long run. So the SRAS curve will shift back to the right, and we will move back to long run aggregate supply. Okay, now we're going to go down and we're going to do number 10. So again, I'm going to start by drawing long run aggregate supply. Okay, government spending increases. So let's draw aggregate demand and short run aggregate supply. So the government's increasing their spending on education, healthcare, housing, and basic services for low-income people, and there's no increase in taxes to pay for these programs. So you know that government spending is part of aggregate demand. So aggregate demand is going to shift to the right. Here's where our original price level is. It's shifted, so we have inflation as shown by PL1. So we started here, and now we are over here. I'm going to introduce again, put in a text box here. So the increase in government spending increases aggregate demand, just like we've shown on the graph. The price level goes up. Real wages will fall. And eventually, just like the number 8, workers will bargain for higher wages, and SRAS will shift to the left. So I'm going to show that. Now SRAS shifts back to the left here. So we're back to where we want to be in the long run, but our price level is going to be higher. Let's look at the last one. So once again, long run aggregate supply. Aggregate demand is downsloping. Short run aggregate supply is upward sloping. So the question is, can the government maintain output above the natural rate of output with aggregate demand policy? So here's the natural rate of output. What's going to happen? Well, we know government spending affects aggregate demand. So if the government is trying to move the economy from here to here, you know that the price level is going to increase. And so because of inflation, workers are going to negotiate higher wages because this inflation has caused their real wages to fall. So the economy is going to have a tendency as those negotiations happen to or for inflation to continue as workers do negotiate and get that higher nominal wage. So if the government continues with that expansionary policy, so I'm going to move AD2 here, we're over here, so we've gone from here, now we're here. Short run aggregate supply is going to shift again, and as you can see, the price level is going to continue to rise. So let me summarize that in a text box here for you as well. So okay, so my text box here summarizes what's going on here. So please make those notes in your workbook, and we will do some more practice with this in class tomorrow. Have a good day.